Welcome back to Ellie and Mac. I'm Vanessa and welcome back to my sewing room and back to building our capsule wardrobe. This week is all about the third layer. We're going to be talking about the blazers, the cardigans, and then we're even going to hack a trench duster. So let's get started. The third layer is what brings our wardrobe together. It's those pieces that take our little basic tops and just elevates them. I personally love it. It keeps me a little extra warm, and it's also a layer that you can take on and off depending if you're getting warm or cold. So it's just a very versatile layer that you need to have in your wardrobe. And with Ellie and Mac, there's so many pattern options. Oh my goodness, it was so hard for me to narrow down what I wanted to do this week. But I looked through capsule wardrobes and I realized that there's only a few that we really need. We need to have a blazer, we need a cardigan, and then I keep seeing this trench coat duster everywhere and I needed that. So that's what we're gonna do today. So let's start with the blazer. I had some leftovers of the scuba suede from a last video and I decided that it would make the perfect established cascading blazer. I just thought that it would be just a really nice look to have with this and a very easy sew. So I actually did not do any hacks. I sewed it per instructions, and let me give you a rundown. This blazer is such a breeze to make. I'm doing this exactly like the instructions. So I'm going to be sewing up the back seam, and then from there we're going to be adding on the facing that has interfacing already added onto the collar, and that collar is going to be folded down. Now it's time to have those cascading front, and so first we're going to add the princess seam, and then we are going to line the cascading front because I am going to be seeing the inside of this fabric, and so this is the liner pieces right here. Once I sew them on, I'm going to be turning them inside out, and I haven't yet sewed down the front seam, but we'll add that in just a second. So now we're going to be adding the front to the back, and again I want these seams to be nice and finished, so I'm going to leave out that inside lining piece, and I'm just going to sew together the shoulders with that facing. Once the facing's done, I can wrap around the cascading inside part around my facing and my shoulder seams. Now I decided to take this to the sewing machine instead of the serger because I didn't want extra threads here, and as I turn it inside out you can see how nicely finished that's going to lay. Now I'm going to just top stitch the back. Once I have it all stitched down with the facing, it's time to get moving here. I'm going to be sewing up the side seams first, and then I hemmed the bottom of this. Now it's time to flip over that cascade, and I'm going to serge it down. Now I have all my hems and finished sides along this blazer. Look how nice that looks. And then with my sleeves, that is it. This blazer is ready to go. And I have to say, it is so warm and so comfortable. It pairs perfect with that skirt that I made a couple weeks ago in my capsule, and so many more things. I'm excited to wear this with jeans when the weather starts getting a little cooler, and I have to say, it looks so nice. I think that this suede is definitely trending. So for our next look is what I'm wearing is the cardigan, and I personally love to have a cardigan. It's so easy and so effortless, and so when I was looking through the different cardigans, I really wanted the cocoon cardigan look, but I wanted it to be at the length that I wanted on my top, so it kind of broke up my short torso. So I decided to go with the Chelsea Bolero, but as you know, Boleros kind of stop a little bit shy of your full chest, and so I wanted it a little bit larger. So all I did on this pattern was I sized up 2 sizes, and let me show you how that all worked out. This bolero is just perfect to have in any capsule wardrobe. It does extend clothes that maybe are a little too cold for the fall, but just by adding on a few pieces, this is going to be ready to go. So I have the shoulder seam sewed on right here, and then I'm going to be adding on the dolman sleeves. I love a drop sleeve on these. And then once I have the sleeve added on, it's time to close up the side seams, and I'm going all the way from the side seams through the sleeves. Now I did the more fitted sleeve here because I already had a gathered sleeve from one of my previous videos in this fabric. And again, we're just trying to take up different places, different spaces with our closet. So once I get the shoulder seams on, it's time to add the band all the way around. And like I said, all I did here was just size up. And let me show you how adorable this looks. This is going to be my must-have cardigan all season long. It's so comfortable, it fits perfectly, and it does give a little relaxed fall look. For our final third layer, I have Dottie here with me because she keeps chirping. I wanted that long duster look that is so popular, and then I also saw so many of the trench coat combinations, so I decided to give that a try. And I really loved how the Modern Moto was the perfect, I felt the cutouts were just perfect for this hack. So I took the Cardigan Love and I mashed it together with the Modern Moto, and let me show you how that all worked out. So I try to devote as much time to this cardigan trench coat. So I'm cutting down the arm side first, and then I'm just going to be cutting out the side seams as well as the bottom and the front to where it starts going diagonal of this Love cardigan. Now, this is a really cute sweater on its own. I really like it if you don't want to go all this with the trench coat. Now we stop right here, and then I'm going to be pulling up the Modern Moto. And then I'm just lining it up with that shoulder seam, not the whole side seam, just the top of the shoulder. And then I'm going to be cutting, and we're trying to get that curve right at that front, and we're just going to blend it in with the rest of the sweater. And this is going to give us that trench look. And then once we get that cut, you want to make sure that you have that triangle where the collar needs to attach, because we are adding a collar to this lovely cardigan. Now we need to line this flap of our trench coat. So I'm lining it up with that triangle, and then I'm have it at an angle to kind of get that lining piece. And then I'm just using my pattern to just cut out the lining. And I'm going to show you how this looks. The fabric is on fold, so I have two pieces here. And then when I fold it under, you can see how that's going to line and how it's going to lay in my trench coat. Now with the collar, I really wish I would have added interfacing. I know the style is to have it nice and loose and comfortable, but I really wish I would have added some knit interfacing here. The reason why we're using this pattern is because I don't need the collar stand, because it is a cardigan, not an actual trench coat. And so this is why this pattern worked out perfect for this hack. So I have two collars and cutout interfacing. Now we're going to be adding on the liner to our trench coat. So we're going to do right sides together. And then we are just going to clip it in place on both sides, and we're just going to serge it on. And then once I had a serge, I'm going to cut all the extra threads, turn them right sides out, and then I'm going to stitch it down so it's nice and secure, and you can see the stitch on the outside. And then it's time to get moving. We're going to be adding on the back bodice. So we're going to be attaching the shoulder seams right sides together here. I haven't added the long piece to this back bodice at this point, but we will get there. And then we're going to be serging on these shoulder seams. So once the shoulder seams are serged together, we're going to just be sewing on the collar. And I did this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I'm doing it as a zigzag stitch on my sewing machine, just so I can cut down the edges and be able to do the snip the corners so it lays correctly. But again, add interfacing. I wish I would have. It worked out, but you know, hindsight is 20/20. So after I get done serging the collar, I'm going to be attaching it on to my cardigan at those triangles. But I'm only going to be attaching it on one side of the collar like you normally would. And once I get it all clipped on here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So we're leaving the inside collar open, but we're attaching the outside collar with right sides together. And then once I serge it on, I'm actually going to serge the seam of this outside so I can roll it under. So let me just show you how that looks completed. So it's serged on, and then you see that serge piece along the bottom. This is so I have a reference point to be able to fold it under and top stitch it down. And this is, I'm lining up my serges right here, and I'm top stitching that down so I have complete finished edges with this collar. Because I don't have the collar to stand, it's just gonna still be like a cozy sweater, but I wanted to have all the finished edges. I didn't want the serge showing on this part because it's coming all the way around my neck, and it definitely will show if it flips open. So this is probably the hardest part of this cardigan, and from here on out it's kind of like making pizza where you get to decide what toppings you would like. So I definitely decided that I wanted buttons. I decided dark buttons at first, but I did change my mind like 3 times on this. And then we're going to be adding on the back maxi length of this, and it is gathered, and this is just another adorable detail that this Love cardigan has on it, and I love how it's opened in the back. And then once I have the back on, I'm going to be closing up those side seams and just flipping over the front onto the back and closing those up. Now, I did have some extra little pieces of fabric left, not a lot, and so I did make some belt loops, and I did make a belt for this. So here I'm going to be adding on the sleeves, and so I'm going to make sure that they're right sides together on the outside, and that I'm sewing the inside seams together along the arm side. So here's the sleeves on, the side seams done with the cuffs, and here we're going to be adding on those belt loops. So I just wanted them at where those 2 seams come together, and just the 2 of them. I did do a little wide belt with this, so I just wanted to make sure that my belt loops are long enough to hold that type of belt. So make sure that you decide that, but again, you don't have to add these. These were just something extra that I wanted to add. So I'm going to be sewing on the belt loops along that seam along the waist, and then I can flip them towards the neckband and then fold them under and top stitch them in just along that shoulder, along that side seam. So everything looks nice and lined up, and they look like they were meant to be there. And this is just such a fun little detail that, you know, you can decide what all little pieces you want. You can go further with the little extra details, or you can do less with them. So then I added on my gray buttons instead, and this is how adorable this looks. And let's put it all together. And this is like the most comfortable outfit ever. I love these wide leg pants, and this duster is so phenomenal. I think it's going to be so cute with anything I wear. I love all the little extra details on it, and I can wear it open or closed. It's just a really adorable sweater, and I'm ready for fall. So for my final thoughts on these third layers, I think that each one adds a different piece to my wardrobe, and they're all very nice and comfortable. I'm very excited about this. I think it's definitely going to help me be able to style more. Now, let's say some of these blazers and some of these things are not quite your style. Well, next week is definitely going to be. We're diving into loungewear sets, and it's going to be so cozy and comfortable. I'm excited. Let me just show you a little bit of the cuteness that is this Polish baby chick. Dottie, Dottie, hey. She is 3 weeks old. Look how cute she is. Do you want to say hi, Dottie? She does not want to say hi. Hi, sweetheart. Hello. Hi. Yeah. We got 3 more of these. So anyways, if you like chickens, this is our third set of chickens, and she is just so cute. Thank you for watching. A like and subscribe would be amazing. As always, have a wonderful day. Do you want to say bye, Dottie? Do you want to say bye? I don't think she wants to.